I've reached my limit. I want a divorce. James pushed me away and stormed into the room. I had to leave for a business trip to another state that day, so I didn't have time to talk to James anymore. I left the house right away. I came back the next day from the business trip, having been yelled at and pushed away in a marital spat. I'm home, huh? A divorce lawyer's business card was on the table. I was surprised at James's quick decision, but thought it was a good opportunity. I didn't want him to back down later. If you want a divorce, that's fine by me. I called the number written on the business card. I'm Cindy Matthews. I work as a licensed architect at a mid-sized architectural design firm. I turned 30 this year and am celebrating my 4th year of marriage with my husband, James. I've participated in architectural magazine competitions, even won a special jury prize, and get requests from various places. Despite being busy, I'm enjoying every day. Except for one thing, though. James works for a major home building company. James's company requested an architectural design competition, and we worked on a building together, which led to us dating and getting married. Both of us had hobbies of mountain climbing and touring famous buildings, and we deepened our relationship through those interests. In the beginning, we used to travel together quite often, but lately, we hardly go out together. James and I talked about wanting children once we settled down when we were newlyweds, but honestly, I'm glad we don't have any now. Why am I glad we don't have children? It's because of James's sudden change in behavior. Initially, he was kind and always cared for me, but after being married for a while, he stopped doing anything around the house. We bought a used single-family house with land in the suburbs of New York and live together, but he just doesn't do anything around the house. He doesn't do a thing. Expecting meals to be served and never taking out the trash is just the tip of the iceberg. It's clear how James moved around the house, simply by looking at the trail of clothing he leaves behind. Why? Because he takes off his clothes as he walks, from the entrance to the bedroom and bathroom, scattering everything from socks to ties and jackets. And yet, he complains if the room isn't tidy. I can't count how many times I've wondered what kind of nerve he must have. Before our marriage, we had decided to divide the household chores, with James responsible for taking out the trash, cleaning the bathroom, and tidying up after meals. Well, this lasted only for a week after we started living here. I've asked James several times to help with the household chores, but each time he retorts, "Housework is a woman's job, isn't it?" That's not true. Don't distinguish between men and women for something like that, I would reply, not backing down. Men should be working, that's what matters. I'm fully committed to my work, so it's only natural for you to do the housework, he would say before going to his bedroom. I never felt that he was such a misogynistic person when we were dating. No, he must have been like that from the beginning. He was just wearing a mask until he married me. Maybe it's my fault for being fooled, but I can't help feeling frustrated. James' overt defiance towards me must be partly due to work, I believe. I'm doing well at my job and I've rarely lost in design competitions. After leaving the company and setting up my own private office, I've been approached by my former boss for joint management. Although James earns more on a monthly basis, when I add in the bonuses from winning competitions and special bonuses, my annual income ends up higher. He probably doesn't find this amusing. James' pride can't handle it. I diligently study architecture, but I've never seen James studying. When at home, he's usually pondering whether to make in-app purchases for his mobile games. James is a big spender, putting only the bare minimum of money into the household and using most of his salary for himself. I asked James to cut back on game spending and put more money into the household, as it might hinder our future plans. But guess what? James was furious, smashing his smartphone on the floor. What a greedy woman you are, asking for the money I earned. I didn't think you were such a grasping woman. You money grubber. I was stunned by this incredible insult, and tears naturally began to flow. I'd understand if I had said something awful. But it was words with the thought of our home and future. My mind was filled with nothing but why, and confusion. Moreover, James was spreading rumors about me at his workplace, calling me a tight-fisted, grasping housewife who won't give him spending money, and collecting sympathy from colleagues. I heard about this from a coworker at my office, and I was greatly shocked. According to the coworker, at James' company, I was known as a money-obsessed, greedy housewife, and James was being comforted by everyone. What's going on here? Does James feel competitive with me, or is it his pride? Bad-mouthing me like this outside. And even over things that aren't true. I was extremely shocked and couldn't concentrate on my work that day, making unthinkable simple mistakes. Gradually, James began to come home late. He started going out even on his days off, claiming it was overtime work. At first, I thought he had changed his mind, but his attitude at home remained the same, not lifting a finger to help with housework and still obsessed with mobile games. That's when a coworker handling James' company told me about a woman James seemed to be getting along with. Her name is Katherine Johnson. She's 24 years old and a temp worker. She's flashy, with a passion or perhaps an obsession for posting glamorous photos on social media. I immediately got Katherine's social media account from my coworker and checked her profile. Her social media, filled with stylish cafe meals, night views, and casually displayed branded bags, seemed a manifestation of self-display. And there was a man's arm in that social media. I involuntarily raised my voice when I saw that picture. The watch the man was wearing in the photo seemed to be James'. It's an antique watch and apparently hard to come by. I remember it well because we had a big fight when he bought it, as it was quite expensive. James must be cheating on me with Katherine. Most of what James wears is branded, so Katherine might see him as some rich man. That rich man is fed up with his home life with a wicked wife. She approached, planning to marry into wealth. That must be Katherine's thinking. I've suffered all kinds of ill treatment from James so far. I'm not even sad anymore. There were no tears. Looking into Katherine's social media, it seems the relationship started about 6 months ago. I gently picked up James' smartphone when he fell asleep while playing a game, and checked all the exchanges and pictures with Katherine. Pictures of James and Katherine seemingly dining at a fancy steakhouse had comments attached, saying she really wanted to take a face-showing photo. I felt nothing looking at James and Katherine's exchanges. Not angry or sad, just completely hollow. I might have had my own shortcomings. I complained about dividing household chores and his spending habits until I was blue in the face. James obviously hated that. Surely, hearing that after coming home tired would sour anyone's mood. But that was because I was thinking about our future together. If James had continued to live like that, our household budget would have probably gone bankrupt soon. Maybe I said it the wrong way. I slumped down in a chair in the living room, holding my head in my hands. But that doesn't mean it's okay to cheat. I sighed heavily. If James ever repented, I could let everything else go, but I could never forgive the cheating. I'll divorce James. At that moment, I clearly swore to myself. I began to look for a lawyer to divorce James. In the past, there was a lawyer among my clients when I designed houses. I quickly arranged to meet the lawyer, pretending it was a follow-up visit for the house, and brought up the consultation. While steadily preparing, I continued to live with James as usual. Though we were not on good terms, we were still married. I would cook James meals and do the laundry. Then, one day, James came home in the morning without any notice. Even reeking of perfume. I was really pissed off at this. Hey, what's the big idea? What do you care? I can do whatever I want. James replied, as unapproachable as ever. That's not true. We're married, James. What were you doing all night, especially if it wasn't work-related? I unintentionally raised my voice at James. James, his face turning red, angrily yelled, "Shut up. Shut up," and came at me, as if he'd lost control. That's it. I'm done. We're getting divorced. James shoved me and then locked himself in the room. I had to leave for a business trip that day, so there was no time to talk with James further. I just left the house. The day after being yelled at and shoved in a marital spat, I returned from my business trip. I'm back, huh? On the desk was the business card of a divorce lawyer. I was surprised by James' quick decision, but I thought it was a good opportunity. It would be troublesome if James backed out now. "If you want a divorce, that's fine by me." I called the number written on the card. Later, I informed James that the divorce papers had been accepted. I really didn't want to see his face, but I wanted to tell him about the divorce face to face. "The divorce papers have been accepted." James stared at me, taken aback. I feel relieved now." I saw the look of confusion in James' eyes, but decided to ignore it. "There's no need for me to be here anymore, so I'm leaving. But there are things we need to decide regarding the divorce, so let's talk again in a month." "Yeah, sure, in a month. You're the one who wanted the divorce." James replied, probably not wanting to lose out on the divorce. "Just to let you know, I don't intend to divide the property. See you." I packed only what I needed into a suitcase and left the room. I'll be living in a hotel for a while. A month later, I visited the house where James and I had lived. "Why did you call Mrs. Johnson?" James asked. I'd secretly invited Catherine as well. We all took our seats, and I handed them documents detailing my demands. "That's what I'm asking for." "The alimony, this amount is okay? If I pay this, it's over," Catherine said, her eyes wide. She must have thought I would ask for more. "So this means James and I can live here happily ever after," Catherine said, looking dreamily at the Italian sofa, European refrigerator, and other stylish items in the living room. She snuggled up to James. "I can't believe I get to live with James in such a chic house. It's like a dream come true." James also grinned smugly. I thought these two were seriously mistaken but decided not to point it out. Catherine's social media posts even featured the furniture and appliances in the house as if they were hers. She must have been looking forward to living here. "You know, I'm taking everything I bought after we got married, right?" I told James, who was still acting all lovey-dovey. Yeah, I know. Just hurry up and get your stuff out of here. You know, since you and I are of different ages, our tastes are different too. So if you leave things like clothes and bags behind, it's going to be a problem." Catherine subtly made a snide remark to me. "That's right. I don't want to remember anything about you, especially your dull stuff," James added. I let out a slight sigh. He's being too naive. Or perhaps he's under Catherine's poisonous spell. Well, I mumbled to myself, it's probably easier to let them continue with this misunderstanding for now. "That's enough talking for now. The movers are coming early tomorrow morning, so be ready." James and Catherine were lost in their own world, paying me no attention. "Hey, I want to change the curtains. Those ones are so drab." Catherine was gazing at James with a dreamy look. It seems that James doesn't understand the meaning of not dividing the property. I left the front door and looked up at the house. "You'd better enjoy your wonderful newlywed life while you can. I'm looking forward to the surprised look on your faces tomorrow." I walked away from the house with a spring in my step. The next day, I met the moving company in front of the house. James and Catherine had come to the front door as well. Are they so eager to get rid of me? "There's another truck parked nearby. There's quite a bit to move, so we'll get started right away." The workers began their work briskly. "What do you mean, another truck? What's going on? What's going on, Cindy? What is this all about?" James and Catherine hurriedly followed. "Hey, this is wrong. All the furniture and appliances are mine. They've been in this house for 3 years. You should just take your stuff and leave." I had held back until now, but finally burst into laughter. "Oh, come on, what are you talking about?" James looked at me with a blank expression, but his focus seemed off. "Did you hear me? I said I'm not dividing the property. Everything I bought is mine." James was deep in thought, trying to understand. "Everything you bought? If there's a problem, do you want to ask a lawyer?" I opened my phone, displaying the contact for my lawyer. "This person is the lawyer I've been consulting with. Shall I call?" James seemed to realize what was happening and slumped in defeat. No, it's okay. But you're really taking everything? James whispered in a low voice. Don't worry. I'm leaving our memories here. James collapsed and sat on the floor. Catherine began to rage at the slumped James. Don't be ridiculous. What's going on here? Stop it. James just shook his head. You're so irresponsible. This is your house, isn't it? Do something. Is this her true nature? Catherine's attitude suddenly worsened. There. James suddenly stood up and hurried toward the bathroom. He came back holding a bath towel. Sure enough, that bath towel was something James had bought. It was a hotel-quality bath towel that he had said felt incredible. James rubbed the towel against his cheek with a happy look. That's right. You can keep that towel. Catherine suddenly snatched the bath towel from James and threw it on the floor. Don't be satisfied with that crap. Catherine was shaking with anger. There must be more. What about the house's sofa? The bed? The dining table? The German washing machine and refrigerator? What are you gonna do? Catherine grabbed James by the collar and closed in on him, looking as if she might choke him. The moving process was going smoothly, and the second truck had arrived to begin loading. The front doorbell rang, and when I went to answer it, a plumber had arrived. I promptly guided him to the kitchen. The plumbing work began in the kitchen. Catherine screamed at the sight. Are you taking that too? That's terrible. James looked on in astonishment. Yes. I bought this kitchen, so I'm taking it with me. But that kitchen was my dream. Catherine was holding her head. I took everything from the house, including the kitchen. This is outrageous. How can this be allowed? Catherine was looking around the now empty house, shrieking like a madwoman. The doorbell rang again, and I invited in a worker in a uniform. He came in, ready to work. Cindy, is it okay? I'm taking the wallpaper. The craftsman asks, a gleeful look on his face. It's fine. Here, and the bedroom too. The craftsman is quickly starting to peel off the wallpaper. Catherine seems to have moved beyond anger, staring in shock. You don't have to go that far. Leave some wallpaper, will you? And if you peel it off, the wall's gonna be bare. It's fine. It's just pasted over the original wallpaper, so it'll peel off cleanly. Hey, couldn't you have left at least that much? James weakly pleads. What are you talking about? You'd hate it if you saw my stuff and were reminded of me every time. So I'm taking the wallpaper too. James, who initiated this, can't say anything back. In my mind, I mutter, serves you right. The re-wallpapering of the house will cost at least $5,000. And it'll be a pain to start from scratch with the furniture and appliances. If they have to buy again everything I picked out, it won't just be the price of a luxury car, and some things they'll never be able to find again. In any case, it's going to be a hefty expense for James and Catherine. Who could live in this house without any furniture or wallpaper? It used to look like something out of an interior design magazine, but now it's become a drab, old property. It's a hard reality for James and Catherine, who had dreamed of a sweet newlywed life in a fancy room. Especially for Catherine, who won't be able to post on her lifeline of social media. It must be unbearable for Catherine, who's a mass of vanity. I feel refreshed looking at the empty house. Well then, goodbye, I say, smiling as I part ways. I leave behind a dumbfounded James and Catherine. As for the furniture and appliances I collected, I have no intention of using what I used when I lived with James. They were stored in a friend's furniture store warehouse, and I disposed of them all at auction. They were precious items chosen with particular care, and since I used them lovingly, they sold for more than I thought, and became funds for my next purchase of furniture and appliances. Now all I have is excitement about what furniture and appliances to place in my new home. After a while, James contacted me. According to James, Catherine desperately wants me to look at the furniture arrangement. I thought about refusing, but my interest as an architect won out, and I decided to go see what kind of house they'd made from that state. When I entered the house for the first time in a while, I was shocked. First, the entrance was dusty, and the whole place looked like a ruin. When I entered the house, I was even more surprised. They haven't re-wallpapered yet. The furniture and appliances are all things that look like they've been gathered from thrift shops. It's so bad that I thought I was in an apartment from the 70s. It's a world of cheapness. Even a modest apartment where college students live would be many times more stylish. And before that, what surprised me was that the cleaning and tidying up had not been done at all. It's a real mess. I was so amazed that I raised my voice. "This is really terrible." Catherine is pouting, resting her cheek on a wobbly table. "The state of this house is a problem that goes beyond interior design." I complained to James. "We just gathered what we needed for living, and we're gonna replace it soon anyway." Catherine answered, pouting. "You took everything with you, after all," James said, throwing it away. Catherine turned her aggressive eyes toward me. "It's your fault, Cindy. Use your connections and make this house something I can be proud of." I thought to myself, speaking to this woman must be futile. We're living in completely different worlds. "Do you have the money for that? What's your budget?" I responded as maturely as I could. I was shocked when I heard the amount James mentioned. It wouldn't even cover my labor costs. "Well, that's just impossible. You're useless, huh? Is this what a licensed architect is like?" I couldn't help but bristle at this comment. They don't even know the kind of effort and struggle it took to become a licensed architect. Any planner or architect can't do anything with that measly amount. Wash your face and come back with something serious. This is ridiculous. Catherine really wanted something done with this amount. She suddenly slammed the table with her palm. "Ridiculous? Did you come here just to look down on me?" I began to feel that having a serious conversation with Catherine was becoming foolish. "If you don't like it, I'll leave. But use that small budget to polish your interior design sense." "You're mocking me, aren't you? I don't know if you're an architect or whatever, but don't get ahead of yourself." "Catherine, stop it." James interjected with a tired face, trying to calm Catherine down. "Why? James, tell her something too." James restrained Catherine with a fed-up face. "I'm tired of this, Catherine. Just be quiet for a bit." James stood up and forcibly took Catherine to the bedroom. James returned and apologized to me. I was surprised at James's unexpected behavior. "I'm sorry that she doesn't understand. After divorcing you, I married Catherine. But you know, she's like that. The number of likes on social media is everything to her. She doesn't care about family life. And if something doesn't go her way, she snaps like some gangster. Every day is a struggle." I thought, well, considering Catherine's personality, living with her must be difficult, as I looked at James, who had aged significantly since I last saw him. Later, James told me about a big fight they had after I left and how Catherine hated living in this empty house but had nowhere else to go. "You've brought this on yourself." I pushed James away coldly. "Catherine quit her temp job because we got married. And I'm stuck now." Eventually, Catherine wanted to lead a glamorous life. James probably wanted to brag about having a young wife. There was no way a marriage between such people would work out. James apologized again. "Please, Cindy, give me another chance." While James was begging and apologizing, I replied, feeling utterly exasperated. "What's that? Some kind of joke? You want to cheat on her?" James shook his head from side to side. "No, that's not it. What happened with Catherine was just a moment of confusion. I realized after you were gone that there's no woman better than you." "You fool! You don't understand anything." I didn't even feel like getting angry. "First of all, you're the one who told me to leave this house. And we divorced, just as you wanted. And now you want to get back together? Live in this rundown house with that woman who only cares about her likes. Wait, please." James clung to my leg. James's snot and tears were rubbed on my leg, making me feel sick. I kicked James away and left the house. Catherine did not show herself from the bedroom. She probably did not want to admit defeat. Well, I won't see those two or that house again. Half in spite, I reported the divorce to James's parents. They apologized profusely to me. They had cut ties with James. James and Catherine came asking for financial assistance for the purchase of furniture and household appliances, but apparently, they were turned away at the door. In this community, divorce is considered a taboo tradition. At that time, rumors spread that James had been divorced due to infidelity and he was demoted to a less significant position, and Catherine was reluctantly working part-time at a convenience store to make ends meet. Without support from their family, James and Catherine have no choice but to continue living in that old house that's become almost a ruin. As for my next place of residence, I got introduced to a gem of an apartment by a real estate agent I know. It's in a low-rise vintage apartment complex, and I'm meeting with an interior designer every day to decide how to decorate it. Work-wise, I've won several architectural competitions and have reluctantly left the firm. I joined forces with a senior colleague I've known for a while, and we started our own architectural firm. My income has skyrocketed, but I'm so busy with work that I find myself dealing with the luxurious problem of wanting some time off to relax.